Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Sir Stephen Topham Hatt the third at your service. Now we're going to talk about this one very seriously. I know a lot of you are getting hesitated, I presume, and not acknowledging it is real life what we're dealing with, right? Exactly. The trailer, the channel intro trailer, is based on truth n- and facts. Now, a lot of you will say, right, here we go. We're going to talk about this where it begins, it never ends, because there is a logic to this. There's certain facts that not even the Norfolk Railway can handle because they already destroyed themselves, right? Realistically, right? Because it's 2024, right? Most of my family already knew this before I was born, before my father was born, through even my grandfather was partially to know about this, and initially knows about the past, etc., and knows a lot about the future. But establishing the fact is, remains that all my subscribers should all consider it, right? We have a what you will call, right? If you want to separate it all, I'll be my guest to give you every story. Right, I'm giving you duck stories, which is true, which you can actually listen to and understand, and then you will know why it repeated again, and and it turned out with a different result. Right, we have to establish that everything that the Norfolk Railway does now, right, it's not out of my hands. Don't get me wrong, but the Norfolk Railway, where it runs, the way it acts, the way it treats you, the community already is aware of this. Why acknowledge this? And they understand everything that's unfolding in that book. Right? It applies to the United States, it applies to Australia, it applies to the United Kingdom, it applies to everywhere, right? Right? A lot of people said everything about the Hatt family, myself, my son, my granddaughter, my grandfather, and my father, and my senior behind me, right, all knew what was unfolding in the future. We did not have to coordinate and explain it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, as they say. But the thing is, the logic is, you're seeing it, you're unfolding it, and you're witnessing it, and you can't believe it. Ask yourself a question. The question is always in the answer. Usually the answers come to you, right? The clues come to you, the answers, right? A lot of people will say, how did he come by with all this knowledge and etc. etc. I said, I don't often read or write, right? I watch and understand principles, understanding religion, understand that we have our own type of religion, that we understand we are multicultural, right? People are asking one question: where is this Norman Spencer? Well, he doesn't exist. What has happened is somebody with that type of personality, may I add, I already made my stand that Emily Helen Hatt is my granddaughter that will take over from from me to the railway. I established that because I know the event before it comes to me. So if he ever showed up, I would just acknowledge, no, my granddaughter's taking over. And that's acknowledgement. Emily Helen Hatt, my granddaughter, is the last one to run that railway. Why? Right, let's take it from two timelines, right? But they all ended up, they always begin with me, but it never ends. Why? Oh, Sir, did we actually have this problem, sir? No, Thomas, in any angle, in any aspect that you see and unfolding and acknowledging it. But a lot of people are finding out, well, how does he know that language? Or how does he know this? I said it runs in the family. Acknowledge that there is principles, there's understanding, there's people that are intelligent, right? Will understand this like a bullet. Ding, 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 ding. So where it begins from 1845 all the way to the future, it's all written in stone, right? We acknowledge that. But what are you gaining from 2024 of the North Norfolk Railway? Ask yourself that question. The answer is already stared in your face, right? Who do you think is running it at the moment? Right, I'm only on the sidelines right now, waiting. Right, my family is aware of it. We are watching their pages, their Facebook pages, their Twitter pages, all of it. Why? So they don't slip up. If they slip up, you will know, right? As a community, you are witnessing what's unfolding, right? You can't jump in and intervene, right? You've got to let it unfold naturally. So what's happened? A lot of people make common mistakes, simple mistakes, right? They acknowledge that I exist. They know that all my family's got a lot of involvement in it. And we acknowledge that when everything is all connected, right? What would you expect of Norman Spencer if he was in charge now instead of me? He will tear up all your steam trains, whatever is left, and turn them all into diesels, right? Which then will make a hell of a bloody mess. A big mess that you don't want. It's a, you think it's a need? No, it isn't a need in any angle, right? So you establish that every viewer that watches my channel throughout the year, month, every day, whatever, establish that you're getting information that is valid. It's not invalid. You're getting some information that is facts, that's truth, that's logic and respectful. Acknowledge that everything that's unfolded so slowly, because yet without your acknowledgement to understand it quite quickly, a lot of people have great respect for me, right? People can't always see the bigger picture. This is why they lose interest, because they can't work it out, right? So we have to acknowledge where it begins, it never ends. So when you think of Norman Spencer, myself, my son, my granddaughter, my wife, obviously included, we're all part of it. It's just acknowledging that you have somebody who's got all of this knowledge and then not actually helping you. Look, let me put this in perspective. If I was on the North Norfolk Railway now, all this mess that we had in 2019 would have been cleared up. Period. I will have every apology from every porter and guard, the management, everything. Why? Because they are non-believers. Why? Because they can't put the pieces together. They don't feel sorry for me or my family or anything. Why? I'm asking you a very simplified question here. Right? People know what is unfolding before it jumps in. This is why the community is keeping away from the North Norfolk Railway at the moment. Why are some communities going in? Not paying attention to words or not understanding the full potential. So when they go in, they get damaged. So what happens to people that get damaged? They need repairing. And when they need a repairing, they get it sorted, right? The thing is, a lot of people that run that railway right now, that's excluded me out, right? Because they basically done the unnecessary thing. If I was on there, all this problem would be cleared up within an instant record, right? We already established that Emily Helen Hatt is the last one on that platform, the first female fat controller, right? People know that. So does my son, who's not in the picture yet. So establish it. So work it out. We're in 2024, right? Now, I want you to realise what the North Norfolk Railway has lost. I want you to think about it really hard. This is no ordinary live stream today, guys. So please take this into consideration. It's not like any live stream, right? You have to acknowledge that a lot of people don't realise what is what, where is where, basically. When people said, why is this connected? Ask yourself a question. Why is the Thomas and Friends franchise so well connected in realistic form as it is fictional? Ask yourself that little question. But my grandfather kept that a secret to himself. I would not even reveal it either. I just got to play along with it. You, as a community, have already established what's unfolding. So, like the taxi drivers and the community are all getting piece by piece unfoldment of it. You, as the establishment, the taxi drivers know a lot more than what you know in some aspects. But when it comes down to my wife, my son, my granddaughter, all of it, it's all connected. And let me tell you something. When I was younger, as Stephen Hatt, right, people thought, oh, he's just a good young man, obviously. But when I bump into people, I get clues. I get answers. If I give them a question, they give me an answer. Sometimes it works that way, if need be. But the thing is, way the North Norfolk Railway is running, I'm not laughing about it. I'm very dead serious, and I have to put my foot down on everything. So when people realise, okay, a lot of people, there's one person in the whole world, just one, not me, because I'm a true hat and I know exactly what I'm dealing with. When people realise and wake up that smell of that coffee in the morning, or drink a cup of tea in the morning, what do you see that your actions could be the result? So work it out. If your actions are the cause of this problem, or the actions that getting the story correct, work it out in your mind, right? I'm telling you realistically, not fictionally. It's reality, right? People know who I am, what I am. Establish that. Why? Ask your question. Why? Why is? Let me ask you, right? A lot of people say there's got to be a solution. Yes, there is a solution at any angle, and it does. It proves that what you've seen is what's unfolding. So don't ignore it. The more you ignore it, the harder it gets, right? Realistically. And you're going to end up with a sticky situation. You see, I'm being really useful the way I was meant to be. But at the same time, I'm basically the North Norfolk Railway's boss. So when they kicked me out for for all for that private reason or the 2019 problem, right? They didn't realise they booted out their own boss. So what happens? The boss fights back because it's like saying, yes, it's time to realise that everything that's unfolding is now unfolding the way it should, right? But it's taking time because you have to repair the damage. So if you don't see the repairing damage, ding, 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 right? Some of us have a what you would call, we don't fight, we just talk. You know, it's all talk, but it's all action as well. And a lot of people think it's why these actions, certain actions have to be done. I said, if you don't, you screw up your timeline, you screw up your life, you screw up everything that's already in front of you, right? So acknowledging it and realize why do people in any aspect, clever, intelligent people that's been listening to their Thomas stories for, for since they were kids and adults, they should all realize that should have been realistic. Why? The clues were always in the books, the TV show, the full whack, right? But a lot of people said, how did the story continue after season 24? Uh, do I have to repeat myself again? Season 24 is my beginning. At, so you're getting to the end, but you're getting to the result, right? You're getting to the result of understanding the principles of it. So when it always tells you something, don't ignore it because a lot of people that have been waiting for this for a very long time now got their result, right? Acknowledging that a lot of people don't realise it until they actually realise, oh, sugar, I've been helping. Let's just say they've been helping me for a very long time, right? A lot of people, it took me a lot more time than you think. But when you think of Norman Spencer as example, he's not in the picture. He's gone, right? If he did come into the picture today, he would have been, but he isn't. Why? A lot of choices I made corrected that problem before it even got to that problem. So acknowledging that, right, it brought Richard and Emily into the picture. But how? The question's there. I'm seeing if you know the answer. Right? You got Richard Topham Hatt and you got Emily Helen Hatt, my son and granddaughter. Now, how did I bring them into the picture? It's a very good question, and it's not a bad question. Now, ask yourself the question: why is the North Norfolk Railway still acting like they think they know it all? I said, no, they don't. They never will do, or they will not understand anything. What? Right, let me take you back to 2001 when I actually became the official volunteer. Right? People that know me should know that the hacks existed quite a long time. But at that time, they only know me by by the name that was what you would call anagram name, if you want to call it, and established that. Oh my God, he's worked it out, boom, boom, boom. But it took time. It took a lot of evidence. There was a lot of things that my great uncle kept to himself to a very high degree. Why? If he revealed himself then, how did he correct the problem and let me have my life to the full? He's giving the third chance a go, a bash, if you will. But like I said, in every angle, you're gonna learn the hard way the North Norfolk Railway will end up having this hard problem, realising they just working their butt off for nothing and ending up losing everything. Why? Because the principles of understanding that the people they booted, the people they've been rude at, could have been their helping task. They don't have to work a full time schedule, like 7 days a week, or 6 days a week, or 5 days a week, or 4 days a week. Doesn't matter. The thing is, the principles of understanding people we care about or once cared about established that we had quite a lot of achievements in our lives, but established that you don't have Norman Spencer. You've got my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt ready to rock and roll, but she's not in the picture yet. You've got Richard Topham Hatt, who's also not in the picture yet. You've got me still running my butt off trying to sort this problem out to establish you can't keep me in a box for a very long time. No, it's a one way move. So what did the North Norfolk Railway gonna do now when they realise all those steam trains they're about to get? Right? I know every steam train that's coming through, right? We established there are new ones coming through and there's some acknowledgements, of course, to realise, oh, why are we getting these steam trains? Why are we getting this? And they won't click it because they're just too unauthorised to realise how does this why these steam trains coming. Right? They're only getting it from the company they that's been acknowledged or understand what needs to be done, right? Let's take the Black Prince as example, right? I really want to make this a smaller podcast as easy. It's acknowledged I'm monitoring all YouTube of my own channel, personal channel. So acknowledging the subscribers, the rates of the towns, acknowledging the world as acknowledging it, and making sure the communications get passed, and acknowledge that the biggest puzzle piece is always in front of your eyeballs every day, night, whatever. I'm acknowledging everything that's unfolding correctly, the way it should. Acknowledge that any interference from people that don't understand correctly, then there'll be confusion and delay, and then there would be a big problem at the end if it didn't go correctly, right? We have to establish that things don't come as quickly as you think. So when people think, oh, you've got this amount of years to deal with it, and this month, and that month, or that year, that's etc., etc., then the biggest clue is right in front of you. You got the main part, you got the man part, but what you don't realize, I have. This is why, like Superman in some aspects, right? As Clark Kent or Christopher Reeve, as one of my contacts, right? The thing is, a lot of what you see is what you're getting, right? The North Norfolk Railway won't give a damn because they booted me out before they can establish what the story's all about. I said the story is you. That's what is established. The things that are unfolding each day, right? It's establishing that the story is unfolding the correct way. So when you establish you got Richard Topham Hatt, you got Emily Helen Hatt, who are innocent as pies, like me, I'm innocent. You have the former volunteers, former employees, all innocent, and you're all standing there like Jack people, like thinking, "Oh, we don't give a. Let's say they don't." In their minds, they think they've got everything under the plate, right? I said, "No, the taxi drivers are watching you day after day after day. We are watching. Eyes and ears are everywhere. So when you establish that you think you've got everything right, you've got to put yourself, why is he coming out with this? And acknowledging what's about to unfold in the near future. And it might, like I said, Richard Topham Hatt is the next one on the line. And then it will be Emily Helen Hatt. Then everybody starts to realise, who are those two individuals? I'm not saying. Right, I know who they are, but I'm not allowed the liberty to say. Right, so we have to establish this is reality. This is not fiction. And when you got a real life cyclone on board, that's it. The North Norfolk Railway's got their game over coming up. Because in the day, they may feel like they're all in control. I said, no, you're not. When I already know every move they're making, it's the actual unfoldment of the story that was supposed to unfold correctly. So if you really work it out, this is no lie. This is all truth. The problem is with people that don't believe in it, right? They're finding it hard to comprehend, to understand it, where it is all connecting. It's like I said, Duck Story is just one example. It's all truth, it's all logic, and it's all respect. But that determines now. I'm about to tell you something in the next podcast that will establish everything unfoldably. Why do I know a lot of people, contacts, connections, friends, families, all of it, all connected, right? I know there is something in your mind that is asking that simplified question and you want a simplified answer. I said, yeah, well, all my connections are privatized for a reason and I want to remain that way. But I want you to realize there's more to it than it meets the eye. And then you've got to establish that and say, why are we talking about it now, not later? I said, if we talked about it later, all of everything that's unfolding, you're talking about the principles. Let's talk about principles, right? Right? There's a little catch to this, and a lot of people will say, do you know what will happen if the story continues the correct way? You have Richard Topham Hatt, you have Emily Helen Hatt as the final one. Then, guess what? Diesel, as you know, Steven's Diesel, his real name is Damien, right? As it's stated in Wild Lester's timeline, right? He hasn't made the helpful move yet, and he will never do until Emily Helen Hatt is in the picture, right? That will establish everything unfoldably, but it has to be coming from me because I'm her grandfather. So work backwards. You've got my son, and then me. Then that's it. Boom, you're going forward. But then you got to work out the biggest clue, and this is the question more than it is a clue. If I see it unfold that way, everybody's safe. Ding ding. So when people think, when I go ding ding, I'm giving you Toby's bell as example, saying he is watching. He didn't have to move about a lot. So work it out. You've got the principles of understanding. Why is my family so damn involved that you not even realise why M&GN, JR as example, they are a names, two names, or I say three names, and one surname. Right? Sometimes you might find out, oh, there is two surnames and two, and two names in place, but there's a third one in the playing field. Let me give you a little hint. Right? A lot of you know the story inside and out. I'm not going to BS with this. The Wild Northwest timeline is what is continuing now. right? It shows you how it should unfold without all the mess up. So work it out. What did what are they trying? What is the North Norfolk Ferry trying to prevent? The actual movement of my family to recorrect everything anomalously and realize it's like saying, in one perspective, that every part of the franchise has a connection, right? A lot of people said my family is connected to the railways deep down, even if it is some left over or whatever's left, right? The North Norfolk Railway itself and Westmoreland and Cromer and Norwich, never enough, we all have a connections, right? We have to establish where it begins, it never ends, because we want you to feel comfortable on a timeline that's been already been written. But nothing will never change because I just gotta get the perspective of like saying, okay, we got Richard Topham Hatt, my son, and then Emily Helen Hatt, my granddaughter. That's all it takes. Once they all do their jobs correctly, right? My son Richard, who isn't born yet, is becoming an ITist. Now, why is that? Right? He's fourth gen, obviously, but Emily Helen Hatt is the fifth gen. So work it out. It's going down from my branch line down. So what happens next? I eventually get married. That's for sure. That's a definite yes. But it's how I unfold it to make it happen to get the other two in. It's sometimes not. It will unfold naturally because it's way it's been passed on. So what is it that keeps the timeline correct without messing it up? Let's just say the North Norfolk Railway messed it up, right? What they're trying to do, they were trying to get rid of paperwork or certain paperwork that were linking everything up, right? Let's take Mattel or for slash Sony as example. They nearly screwed up the whole timeline themselves, right? They don't even realise what a big mistake they've done, right? I acknowledge that the Norfolk Railway should have kept everything in check, right? No, big mistake. Right, when they booted everybody else out, they booted out everything that came with it. They lost the respect that all my former employees and volunteers all had, even myself, all went out the window, right? We have to do the story on the outside of the premises now, rather than on the premises. So we are acknowledging you that the way the railway's working and the way the North Norfolk Railway's trying to challenging us in the big way, and they try to acknowledge that we got this problem, we got that problem, and we got this problem, right? They're not going to let go until they let go. They lost, we won. How? The truth came out from my mouth, not theirs. So why did they hide it from you? And I came out with the truth and told you the truth and been honest with you. Honesty is the best policy on this one. So acknowledge it. So work it out. It's going forward, not back. We're going forward. And we're acknowledging that Richard Topham Hatt will do it for 2 years. And then Emily Helen Hatt will do the final cut. Why? Why is Emily Helen Hatt so important to the North Norfolk Railway? Because she's my granddaughter. My blood. My flesh and blood. But if you don't see it, then you're obviously the North Norfolk Railway will end up failing because they will end up realising how screwed up they made it. So even if they screwed it up on the platform, they can never screw it up on the outside of the platform. So work it out. This story still continues, right? I really like to extend this a little bit, just a little bit more than what it is, and acknowledge that Norman Spencer will never come because he only comes in for 1 week and he failed. He will not succeed. Why? Because I already made my choice before he came. So by making my choice and saying Emily Helen Hatt is a takeover. Why? Making sure that the railway stays in the safe, good hands. Now, all you have to do is let it play out. If you don't, let's just say the North Norfolk Railway doesn't recorrect their problems right in time, right? They will be screwing it up and then they will end up having that fatal mistake, right? We don't want that fatal mistake. So what we try to tell you, when the story is unfolding on the outside of the platform, on the inside is a different ball. So what do? I checkmate them out. Why? To establish the truth is setting you free and acknowledging it. And why? Because the truth will set you free. You have to acknowledge I'm here. Then you got my son. Then you have my granddaughter. My granddaughter's the last one on that platform, and she's the longest running female fat controller on the line. Now, that's why the North Norfolk Railway are so damn afraid that they can't recorrect their own problem and say, oh, why do we have all these steam trains coming in? Ding, 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 ding. It's all coming through, right? But thanks to a private connection of mine, which I will not disclose, told me something, what to do, need to do, that's it, right? Even one of my other private connections said, you're going to have a big family by the time you are married. Ding, ding. But she did not tell me what it is, or who it was, or who it is. Right? And I'm telling you, by because I'm monitoring everything, even YouTube, even that, I have to establish that everything's possible. There's nothing is impossible. You know, believe in the impossible. Right? We're acknowledging that there's things yet to come is coming. Right? So you got my son and my granddaughter gonna help the North Norfolk Railway big time, including myself. Why is that? Certain thing on the platform will spark the North Norfolk Railway out of their boom bags. They won't. They even if they are non-believers now, they're gonna open their eyes and wake up and smell the coffee. Why? All the employees will start waking up. The volunteers that are on there, right, will start to wake up. Why is that? So when I establish this, I'm acknowledging everything, right? So you've got steam trains still going on there, right? When the B12 returns, Hazel returns, and you basically got wine on there and Edward on there, which is basically a J5Y14 to a K2 standard. Ding ding. What happens? Eventually, everything unfolds naturally. So when you got the hats already here, we are in charge of that railway, and we're also acknowledging that nobody everybody that didn't do nothing wrong in 2019 never had done nothing wrong at all. It's just all bad management. And that's why everything is unfolding correctly. I just gotta let it play out. But like I said, I am monitoring everything. Left, right or centre. I'm making sure my name has a good reputation, which it has. It's established that my background, my future, all set in stone. No one can't break that, right? The way the things unfold naturally is better than having nothing at all, right? But we have to establish everything that's there in black and white. It's like saying to a lot of people out there that don't believe in this or they can't work it out in their minds. They're not clever enough, they're not intelligent enough. But some are. I'm not saying they're rudeness. But people pick up on it. Not because it's the choices we make that make it right or correct the problem or solve a problem, right? Which is what it normally does, right? But when somebody tells you that you're gonna be a, let's say, I had somebody, a private connection, said you're gonna be a great father one day. Ding ding, right? She was already aware of my situation. Why is that? So where it begins, it never ends because the story was already set for one timeline only, which is establishing that you got myself, Richard Topham Hatt, my son, and then Emily Helen Hatt, my granddaughter. But there's no buts whatsoever. It's playing out the way it should. But of course, there is a little bit of the, you know, whatever you may be thinking in your mind or understanding what's in your mind is I acknowledge that the North Norfolk Railway can't do nothing now. Establish that they've got to be realistic and say, God, this man knows everything, right? We all understand there is everybody was put on this earth for a reason, right? The hats have been existing for a long time, way before you were born. It's like before and after. Then when it's a present day, it's a present day. Then the people learn about their futures in different angles, right? What a lot of people don't realise is that we are real. We are not what you would call the opposite. So when you think, why did in a lot of people's minds, and I'm going to ask this question, or you're going to that question is floating in your mind, saying, what, what, why is it going the right way? Why we got Emily Helen Hatt as the last fat controller on the line? Because she's a female. She's the last one on the line, but she's my granddaughter, right? My granddaughter is so damn important. So is my son Richard. But a lot of things come in twos, pairs, triplets. It doesn't matter. The thing is, I'm not gonna have to tell. I'm gonna put this in black and white. It's already been told to you in correct fashion by Ronald Norweston in his own words and terms, and he actually unfolded it correctly. Right? The North Norfolk Railway is the actual North Western Railway headquarters. Right? But at the end of the day, when people ask questions or ask for answers that they cannot have, let the story unfold naturally. Because you may find out that the answer is what inspires you to realize its truth, its logic, and respect. We're not going to talk about this in every podcast, right? Because everybody wants the truth of every character, which I'm going to provide, right? You got the story of Duck. He's done and dusted. Now you know the truth, what's going on at the North Norfolk Railway, and how they set people up, and how they got rid of us, each one of us. Right? Now you're going to learn about, in the next podcast, is Diesel 10. Or do you want David's Diesel? Because they're basically a similar story. The only difference is that David's Diesel's got his own personal timeline. Right? So when Emily Helen Hatt comes into play, he becomes more really useful, and he is then part of the Steam Team / Diesel Team, which connects us all up. But he helps Thomas at that time, and he will eventually get a name called Damien, and that's the truth, because that's the logical truth. What's unfolding, not now. At the moment. It's unfolding my part of the story. So then it becomes my son, Richard Topham Hatt. Then it becomes my granddaughter, the last one on the line. So if you let it play out, get the North Norfolk Railway to realise its wake-up call, they will wake up and smell a coffee and end up getting fired, because they all look. We can't have people that don't fully understand what is unfolding correctly, right? So when they get steam trains from other people or other places, if you will, right, they want to know, why is this all happening, right? Like the prophecy stated, the rise of the Fat Controller, so does steam. Ding ding. Anyway, I better call that off, but that gives you a white insider. Indeed, of course. Thank you very much.